Okay, so you're here because, let's be honest, you're the type who wants to get in the know quickly, right?
Absolutely. You love diving into the big ideas, the stuff that's really pushing the boundaries of what we know.
But who's got the time to wade through endless research papers, right?
Well, today we're doing the heavy lifting for you. We're going deep on something that's really going to stretch your brain a bit.
Yeah, strap yourselves in because we're tackling a real head scratcher.
We've got this fascinating white paper from CPAR, the Committee for the Ethical Application of Psychic and Afterlife Research.
That's the one?
They're looking at this wild concept of what happens when the future kind of leaks into the present.
It's like a preview of coming attractions, but for the world of
But
ideas.
just imagine knowing about a revolutionary technology before its time.
Yeah, before anyone's even supposed to have dreamt it up.
Yeah,
Trippy, right?
that's exactly the kind of rabbit hole we're jumping down today.
Down the rabbit hole we go. Our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to unpack the core of what CPAR is calling the Temporal Innovation Paradox, or TIP for short. Figure out why it's such a mind bender, and explore the really big questions it raises about innovation and society itself, really.
Exactly. So let's break this down a bit. What is this temporal innovation paradox?
Mhm.
Because just saying future ideas now still sounds a bit like something out of a sci-fi movie, you know?
It does, it does. But think about how we usually think about invention, right? Someone's got a problem,
Right.
they tinker, they experiment, and boom, solution.
Exactly. It's a process. And this white paper defines TIPI as a disruption of that whole beautiful sequence. So picture this, you've got a brilliant invention. Maybe it's slated to be discovered in 2070, but somehow someone in 2025 gets wind of it, builds it. What happens to our inventor in 2070?
They're left in the dust, aren't they? Robbed.
Completely. It's as if they got cheated out of their eureka moment.
Yeah.
All that work, all that struggle just bypassed.
What? Oh, so it's deeper than just getting cool gadgets early, right?
Way deeper. It's like reading the last page of a mystery novel first. Sure, you get the answer, but you miss the whole thrill of the journey.
Makes you wonder if the journey is more important than the destination sometimes. Now, this paper smartly puts TIP-P in the company of other temporal paradoxes, those classic mind benders that make you question everything you thought you knew about time. Can you give us the quick and dirty on those just to set the stage?
Absolutely. You've got your classic grandfather paradox, the one everyone knows. Go back in time, prevent your grandpa from meeting your grandma.
Oh,
Poof, you're never born.
yeah.
Therefore, you couldn't have gone back in time to begin with.
Right, a real mind melter. That one never gets old.
And then there's the bootstrap paradox.
Yeah.
This one's a bit more subtle. Say you find this amazing device incredibly advanced. Someone tells you, hey, I got this design from you in the future, but here's the kicker. How did you come up with it in the first place? It's a loop, a piece of information with no clear origin.
Okay, that one's just creepy, like some kind of self-creating information loop. So where does our friend, the temporal innovation paradox, fit in with these other time-twisting concepts? What's the family resemblance?
It's all about messing with the timeline. Like the paper highlights Tippy shares the disrupted flow. An idea from the future takes a shortcut, right? It bypasses its natural inventor, its natural birth, in a way. It just pops up in the present without going through the usual steps of being thought up and developed in its own time.
All right, now this is where CPAR's paper really gets interesting. They start talking about psychic access and remote viewing as possible ways these future ideas could reach us. I can already hear some folks out there going, hold on a minute.
Of course. Look, the paper acknowledges that remote viewing is controversial, but they use it as a thought experiment, right? A what-if scenario. What if we could somehow peek into the future and grab ideas that haven't been invented yet?
It's a big what if.
Huge. But the real issue isn't whether remote viewing is legit or not. It's the ethical fallout if any method let us snag future innovations. And that's what CPAR really wants us to wrestle with.
They're forcing us to confront the potential for some seriously shady stuff, basically. Right.
Unethical borrowing, let's call it.
Unethical borrowing from the future. I like that. So let's play along with this thought experiment. If peeking into the future and swiping inventions were possible, what are the ethical landmines TIP-T throws at us?
Well, the paper lays out a few big ones. First up, ownership. If an idea originates in the future, who really has dibs on it in the present? Not the inventor. They haven't even had the idea yet. And is it the person who saw it in the future? Our current intellectual property laws just weren't built for this kind of time travel.
It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly. And CPAR really hammers home this point about trampling on the rights of the future inventor. I mean, imagine working on something, pouring your heart and soul into it, only to find out someone in the past already invented it based on a glimpse of your future.
It's like getting scooped before you even started. Talk about demoralizing. The paper also talks about the rights of the future innovators themselves, not just the inventions.
Yeah, it's not just about who gets the patent or the credit. It's about robbing someone of their entire process, their contribution, their legacy even. These future innovators, they're denied recognition for their work, but also the chance to build on it to make it even better.
It's denying them their place in history almost.
And then there's the potential for chaos on a societal level. Imagine entire industries going kaput overnight
Mm.
because some future tech suddenly materializes. We're talking massive job losses, markets in free fall, the whole pace of progress thrown out of whack.
Yeah, that's not the smooth transition to a better future we all dream of.
Not at all. And let's not forget the issue of consent. These future inventors, they haven't signed off on their ideas being used right now.
They don't even know we exist, let alone that we're messing with their timelines.
Exactly. CFR is basically saying anyone messing around with temporal exploration better think long and hard about the potential ripple effects on folks who haven't even been born yet. It's a huge responsibility.
So ethically, it's a minefield. But let's talk about the legal headaches. Our laws are all about here and now. How do you even begin to address a concept like TIP legally?
Yeah, our legal system is grounded in this idea that creation happens in the present. And TIPI just throws that out the window, or it introduces the possibility of an idea having a future origin.
So our current patent and copyright laws are basically useless.
Pretty much. Imagine trying to file a patent saying, well, I saw this in a dream about 2050. They'd laugh you out of the patent office.
Yeah, that's not going to fly. So what does CPAR suggest? Rewriting the entire legal playbook.
It's a possibility, they say. Maybe we need completely new legal frameworks to protect the rights of future creators, or at least track where ideas come from across time.
So instead of patent pending, it's future pending.
Something like that. They even float the idea of needing tech to monitor and maybe even prevent the misuse of these time-traveling techniques, whatever those might be.
Whoa. Future tech policing future knowledge. That's a wild thought. But CPAR doesn't start there. They throw in another curveball, the idea of spontaneous or subconscious access to information from the future. This is where things get really messy when it comes to figuring out who owns what.
Right, because now we're talking about someone having a brilliant idea they think is 100% their own. But what if it's actually a little nugget from the future that they picked up subconsciously? It's like an accidental download from the future.
That's freaky, like my brain's secretly a time traveler without me knowing.
And if future knowledge can sneak into our minds like that, how do you even define intellectual property anymore? It challenges the whole notion of individual creativity.
Maybe we're all just remixing ideas from the future without even realizing it.
Maybe. And the paper ties this to Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious, that deep well of shared human experience. What if this collective space also includes future knowledge?
So that aha moment I have in the shower, maybe it's not my genius at all. It's just a faint echo from the future, rippling through the collective unconscious.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it? And if subconscious access is real, how could we ever trace the true origin of an idea? It could change everything about how we think about intellectual property.
Maybe we'll move towards a more communal view of ownership, ideas belonging to humanity, not just individuals.
It's a possibility. But TIPI also takes us on a philosophical journey, especially when we think about cause and effect. If we're getting info from the future, doesn't that suggest the future already exists in some way?
It's like peeking at the answer key before you take the test.
And then bringing those future ideas into the present could actually change the events that were supposed to lead to them. It's paradoxical.
It's like those time travel movies where you go back and accidentally step on a butterfly and change the entire course of history.
Exactly. And if the future can be known and changed, does that mean free will is an illusion? It's heavy stuff.
No kidding. And if we use future knowledge to change things now, are we responsible for any unintended consequences down the line?
That's another big ethical question CPAR raises. What if our actions today, based on future insights, lead to some disaster 100 years from now? Are we to blame, even though we thought we were doing the right thing?
It's like the ultimate butterfly effect. We need to be very careful about what we do with this future knowledge if we ever get it.
Absolutely. The paper uses a few hypothetical scenarios to illustrate how this could play out. Want to walk through a couple?
Yeah, let's get concrete.
Okay, so imagine researchers stumble across a breakthrough clean energy solution from the future. They implement it, solve the climate crisis. Sounds amazing.
Like the ultimate win. Humanity survives and thrives.
But here's the catch. The original inventor in the future They never get to create their solution. Maybe they would have improved on it, come up with something even better.
So we get a quick fix but potentially stifle future progress. It's a tricky trade-off.
Right. Another scenario CPAR gives is corporate espionage, basically. Big companies use temporal viewing to see future market trends.
Insider trading, but from the future.
Exactly. They release products and services years ahead of the curve, crush their competition, and create monopolies.
So the rich and powerful get even richer and more powerful. That's a dystopian future I don't want to live in.
Nobody does. But it highlights the potential dark side of TIPI. So if we had to sum up the challenge of the temporal innovation paradox, how would you put it?
It's about balancing the allure of the future with the responsibility to protect the present and the rights of those who haven't even had a chance to dream their dreams yet.
Beautifully put. We need to be careful not to mortgage the future for a quick fix today.
This temporal innovation paradox has really made me question everything I thought I knew about time invention and even creativity itself. It's mind-blowing.
It makes you realize how much we take for granted about how ideas are born, how progress happens, and it forces us to think about the ethical implications of knowledge, especially if that knowledge comes from a place we can barely comprehend.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive. But before we go, I want to leave you with something to ponder. If the future holds the answers to our biggest problems today, how do we even approach those answers ethically? How do we make sure we're not robbing the future to solve the present?
And if this idea of a collective unconscious is real, if we're all tapped into this pool of past, present, and future knowledge, what does that mean for our understanding of inspiration and originality?
Lots to think about, right? If you're as intrigued by this as we are, we highly recommend checking out CPAR's white paper. You can find a link in the show notes.
It's a wild ride.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep those minds open.
Absolutely. And maybe keep an eye on the future.
But not too closely.
Right. Don't want to cause a paradox.